WWE has seemingly spoiled a major AAA championship change during a match graphic that aired last night on Monday Night Raw. We'll let you know all the details on that. Plus, speaking of AAA, Vikingo was ringside for Raw last night. Seth Rollins has qualified for the men's Money in the Bank ladder match at the upcoming PLE. A women's Intercontinental Championship match has been added to Money in the Bank. Liv Morgan made her return to WWE television, but was defeated by Kairi Sane during last night's broadcast. Penta has also qualified for the men's Money in the Bank ladder match at the upcoming PLE. The New Day, they have retained their World Tag Team Championships last night on Raw. New TNA World Champion Trick Williams will appear tonight on NXT. Gunther will challenge Jey Uso in a WrestleMania rematch at an upcoming episode of Raw for the World Heavyweight Championship. Several celebrities were ringside last night for Monday Night Raw. More details on Hook's recent return to AEW television this past weekend at Double or Nothing. We've got a health update on Drew McIntyre and Chelsea Green after Saturday night's main event last weekend. Plus, AEW has revealed upcoming Fyter Fest plans. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of news stories to get into in the world of professional wrestling. Before we begin, you can see right there, we are just 13 subscribers away from 22,000. So if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe and join the ever-expanding WNU, that being the Wrestling News universe. In addition, you can become a member of the WN365 roster. Links in the video description below. You can click the join button or scan the QR code when it appears on the sidebar. Speaking of the sidebar, you can see upcoming watch-alongs and post-shows we've got here live on the channel. That includes AAA and WWE Worlds Collide and also WWE Money in the Bank at the beginning of June. Now, speaking of Worlds Collide, let's begin with WWE actually spoiling a major AAA title change last night on Monday Night Raw. Now, WWE went ahead and spoiled an upcoming title change on the May 26th edition of Monday Night Raw, as it was announced that El Hijo del Vikingo versus Chad Gable at WWE and AAA Worlds Collide would be for the AAA Mega Championship. Now, this is despite the fact that Vikingo isn't currently the AAA Mega Champion, but he will challenge Alberto El Patron, formerly known as Alberto Del Rio in WWE, for the title on May 31st at a AAA television taping. Now, the graphic for Vikingo versus Gable was different depending on which country watched Raw, as the United States and international versions of Raw noted that the match was for the AAA Mega title, while the bout was billed as just a singles match on the version of Raw, which aired in Mexico. Now, Dave Meltzer reported on Wrestling Observer Radio that WWE spoiled the title change outside of Mexico because they assumed fans in Mexico wouldn't find out about the AAA Mega title version of the graphic for Vikingo versus Gable. Quote, in Mexico and the Mexican version of Netflix, they had put up a different graphic and they didn't mention that it was for the title because in Mexico, in theory, the people would know that Alberto was the champion, but in the United States, they wouldn't know. That was the mentality for doing this, and they thought that was okay. And for whatever reason, the mentality was, well, if we only announce it in the United States, the people in Mexico aren't going to know, not realizing that everyone knew instantly, Meltzer said. Ernesto Ocampo of Super Luchas noted that the majority of people who watch Monday Night Raw in Mexico actually do so through pirated streams, which is why many of them had the upcoming title change spoiled. Now, WWE and AAA Worlds Collide will take place on Saturday, June 7th, ahead of WWE Money in the Bank. Worlds Collide will air on WWE's YouTube channel. Speaking of AAA, Vikingo was ringside last night on Monday Night Raw, as he has been for several WWE shows recently. Vikingo was shown sitting ringside ahead of the Money in the Bank qualifying match between Chad Gable, Dragon Lee, and Penta. Vikingo actually got involved in the bout, kicking Gable during the match last night on Monday Night Raw. Now, Seth Rollins, he kicked off Monday Night Raw last night. Now, Seth Rollins said he is leading the vision. Following the events of Saturday night's main event, Seth Rollins, Paul Heyman, Bron Breakker, and Bronson Reed kicked off the May 26th edition of WWE Raw. Heyman started off the promo with his usual shtick before introducing every name in the ring with him, including Bronson Reed. Heyman touted Reed's fight to be noticed in WWE, even celebrating the times he beat down Seth Rollins in 2024. Then Heyman continued on and praised Rollins, calling him a generous man. Heyman proceeded to tell the audience to acknowledge Seth Rollins. Rollins took his time before speaking, acknowledging a number of chants from the fans. After reminding fans of his mission statement to lead the company into the future, Rollins talked about his intention to capture the Money in the Bank briefcase, saying that he wants to control the fate of the World Championships in WWE. Rollins competed in a Money in the Bank qualifying match later on in the show and actually secured the 4th spot in the men's Money in the Bank ladder match with a victory in the main event of Raw. Following on from the SmackDown qualifiers, Solo Sikoa and LA Knight, there was another qualification earlier on in Raw, but Rollins would have to wait till the end of the show to confirm his spot in the upcoming ladder bout, fighting against Finn Balor and Sami Zayn. Having established their faction as the Vision at the beginning of the night, Bronson Reed and Bron Breakker would join Rollins' side in the match and try and take Zayn out of the situation, just as he sought to finish Balor with the Haluva kick. That prompted World Heavyweight Champion Jey Uso to emerge. Then, in the chaos, Balor's Judgment Day stablemate Dominic Mysterio also rushed down to the ring. He slid a chair into the ring for Balor to use, but before he could, Rollins pounced for a curb stomp onto the chair to secure the winning pinfall. After the match, Rollins ordered Breakker and Reed to continue their beatdown on Uso, but CM Punk's music hit to signify his arrival. Reed and Breakker ran up the ramp to meet him, but they had already sneaked into the ring to land a GTS on Rollins. He then retreated through the crowd to stand tall as Raw went off the air. Now, speaking of Money in the Bank, a title match has been confirmed for the upcoming WWE Premium Live event. Lyra Valkyria and Becky Lynch will run it back. In a social media video, WWE Women's Intercontinental Champion Lyra Valkyria revealed she'll be defending her title against Becky Lynch at WWE Money in the Bank on June 7th. Lyra said that the result will be the same as the first 2 times they met, both victories for her. Now, more stipulations were then added to this title match at Money in the Bank. On the May 26th edition of WWE Raw, Becky Lynch and Lyra Valkyria agreed to 2 separate stipulations for their Women's Intercontinental Championship match at Money in the Bank. First, Lynch agreed that she will never challenge Valkyria for the Women's Intercontinental Championship again if she fails to defeat her at Money in the Bank. On the other hand, if Lynch does indeed end up winning, Valkyria will be forced to raise her hand after the match is done. Liv Morgan, she's back on Monday Night Raw after recently having some film commitments. To the surprise of nobody, Liv Morgan made her long-awaited return on Monday's edition of Raw, confronting Dominic Mysterio during his conversation with Roxanne Perez and Carlito. Morgan shushed Perez, allowing Mysterio to stumble his way through an explanation. Morgan then informed Mysterio that she plans on addressing things after she gets herself a qualifying match for Money in the Bank. This was Morgan's first appearance for the company since the April 28th edition of Raw, when she announced that she'd be taking some time off to film a movie. That movie was later confirmed to be Bad Lieutenant Tokyo. Morgan last wrestled on the April 22nd edition of NXT as she and Raquel Rodriguez defended the Women's Tag Team Championships against Gigi Dolan and Tatum Paxley. But it wasn't a victorious return for Morgan last night on Raw. Kairi Sane was back in the win column as a singles competitor. On the May 26th episode of Monday Night Raw on Netflix, Kairi Sane defeated Liv Morgan in what was Morgan's comeback match. This, interestingly, was also Sane's first victory in a singles match on WWE television since July 2020. Sane successfully rolled up Morgan as the referee was distracted with a confrontation outside of the ring from Raquel Rodriguez and Roxanne Perez. Roxanne had tried to help Morgan as a way of currying favor with her and the rest of Judgment Day. Now, Kairi only had 9 singles matches since returning to WWE in 2023, and only 3 have occurred on WWE television. She has picked up victories in dark matches ahead of SmackDown and on WWE Speed, which is exclusive to X. Now, Penta, he has also qualified for the men's Money in the Bank ladder match. Penta officially qualified for his first Money in the Bank ladder match by defeating Dragon Lee and Chad Gable on Raw on Monday. He'll join Solo Sikoa and LA Knight and Seth Rollins, set to take place on the Premium Live event on June 7th. Penta and Lee attempted to team up against Gable to start off the match, but their alliance didn't last long. Gable got through a scary spot where Penta seemingly dropped him right on his face. He rolled out of the ring, but was back in action by the time the broadcast returned from the break. Gable had Penta on the announce table, but Lee flew from the ring into an attempt to take out Gable, but stepped away, sending Lee crashing into Penta on the desk. AAA star, as we spoke earlier on, Vikingo, Gable's opponent at Worlds Collide during Money in the Bank weekend, was sat at ringside, and Gable Gable went after him following the table spots. He got Penta back in the ring and they traded chops back and forth. Lee hit a powerbomb to Gable, but it wasn't enough to put him away. Penta hit a Mexican destroyer to Lee, followed by a Penta driver to Gable to pick up the victory and qualify for the Money in the Bank ladder match. The New Day, they're still the World Tag Team Champions on Raw. New Day just barely retained their World Tag Team titles in a triple threat match against the War Raiders and the Creed brothers. Prior to the bell ringing, all three teams went at it, and that set the tone for the rest of the match. At various points, it looked like either contender might take the titles. Ivar landed a splash from the top turnbuckle onto Woods, but the pin was broken up by Kingston and the Creeds. Ivar sent the Creeds and New Day through the ropes before diving onto them. Back in the ring, War Raiders began to double team Woods, but Julius tagged in while Brutus did the Brutus ball on Eric on the outside. Kingston attempted a tope suicida on Ivar, but he got caught. Ivar sent him crashing into the LED screen apron, which started to glitch upon impact. While Julius drop-kicked Ivar off the ropes, Woods used the opening to roll up Julius to get the victory and retain the World Tag Team titles in the process. Now, Trick Williams, the brand new TNA World Champion, he'll be on NXT tonight. Trick Williams is the first WWE superstar to win gold in TNA wrestling, and tonight he will talk about it. Williams made history by defeating Joe Hendry in the main event of WWE NXT Battleground. WWE NXT broadcaster Vic Joseph announced his appearance on the subsequent episode of NXT on the international feed of the May 26th episode of WWE Monday Night Raw on Netflix. Now, Jey Uso, he'll be defending his World Heavyweight Championship against Gunther at an upcoming episode of Monday Night Raw. The title match is official. On the May 12th edition of Monday Night Raw, Gunther approached WWE World Heavyweight Champion Jey Uso and informed him that on the June 9th episode of Raw in Phoenix, Arizona, he would be challenging for the title. At the time, Uso had Logan Paul coming up as a challenger at Saturday night's main event. He went on to defeat Logan, and now the title match against Gunther is official. Gunther confronted the champion on the May 26th program. The date of their title match is taking place 2 days after the Money in the Bank Premium Live event, where Uso will be teaming up with Cody Rhodes to take on Logan Paul and undisputed WWE champion John Cena. Now, there were celebrities on hand last night at Monday Night Raw. Burt Kreischer was back on Raw, taking off his shirt and hanging out with the War Raiders. He was joined by his podcast partner, Tom Segura. After a backstage segment, the two were shown sitting ringside and chugging beers. Rapper Waka Flocka was also in attendance, but did not get a graphic. Hook, he's back on AEW television, returning at Double or Nothing this weekend. The anarchy in the arena match at AEW Double or Nothing saw the return of the Ops Hook, though the young star didn't stick around for much of the bout after interfering to take out the Death Riders' Claudio Castagnoli with a golf club. Hook was last seen at the beginning of April when he seemed to suffer some kind of physical issue when he threw up in the ring after a match. In the recent edition of Wrestling Observer Radio, Brian Alvarez revealed a possible reason as to why Hook wasn't involved in the match. Quote, "I don't think he's fully cleared," Alvarez said. "I know that he was trying to get cleared on Wednesday. Maybe he's cleared, but my guess is they cleared him just to hit somebody with a stick and just leave." Now, Hook didn't win the AEW World Trios Championships alongside Ops stablemate Samoa Joe and Katsuyori Shibata, seemingly due to whatever issue he has been dealing with. Powerhouse Hobbs stepped in to take his place, and the Ops won the titles from the Death Riders on the April 16th edition of AEW Dynamite. Hook had been advertised for the match, but it was Hobbs who came out with Joe and Shibata. Dave Meltzer reported that it wasn't believed that Hook had suffered a concussion after getting sick in the ring, but he was unable to confirm what might have caused the issue. In the weeks following the Ops Trios Championship win, information about Hook's condition wasn't made clear. Speaking of health updates, we've got two here after Saturday night's main event. As part of an eventful weekend in the world of professional wrestling, the latest edition of WWE Saturday night's main event has come and gone once again. Sadly, not everyone made it through the show unscathed, with Dave Meltzer providing an update on the status of two WWE superstars in particular during Wrestling Observer Radio. Quote, "Drew McIntyre is pretty damn banged up," Meltzer said. "This was his blow-off, essentially. He's got the concerto. I don't know how long he's going to be out, but it's very clear he'll be out for a while. His neck was hurting. He really got hurt when he took that chokeslam at Backlash and his head hit the floor. Of course, WWE Backlash took place earlier this month with McIntyre facing Jacob Fatu, LA Knight, and Damian Priest in a United States Championship Fatal 4-Way. During the match, McIntyre took Priest's South of Heaven finisher on some tables outside of the ring, but his head hit the ground. Though he was obviously cleared to perform in the steel cage match on Saturday, it seems WWE now intends to give McIntyre time to rest and heal up. In addition to that, there was an injury that occurred during Saturday's show. Quote, Chelsea Green broke her nose, Meltzer continued. It was a clean break, so it's not bad, and I think she's going to stay on television from what I gather, but she got that from the 619 from Zelina Vega. And Meltzer felt the Women's United States Championship match wasn't a necessary addition to the show, but he believes it was added to avoid criticism from the card of not including a women's match. Because of the match's last-minute addition, Meltzer stated that the show's pacing felt frantic. And finally, an update here when it comes to plans for AEW Fighter Fest in a few weeks' time. Next month's AEW Fighter Fest television special will be a 4-hour marathon with AEW Dynamite and AEW Collision airing back-to-back and live. AEW has announced that Fighter Fest will be held on June 4th, 2025. It will begin at 8 p.m. with Dynamite, followed by Collision at 10 p.m. Both shows will air on Max as well. The Fight Fest television special will also feature the final of the AEW International Championship Tournament, with current champion Kenny Omega set to defend his title against 3 other competitors who will be determined this week. The 3 qualifiers will take place on this week's Dynamite and Collision. Mexican stars Mascara Dorada and Hechicero will compete in one qualifier, while Commander and Claudio Castagnoli will face off in another, with both matches set for Collision. The 3rd qualifier scheduled for Dynamite will feature Brody King facing Josh Alexander. Fighter Fest Collision, parts of the show, was preempted due to the Stanley Cup playoffs taking place on Saturday, which is the usual time slot for the show. The show will take place at Denver's Mission Ballroom. The television special returns for the first time since 2023, which saw a 3-part Fighter Fest, which included Rampage, aside from Collision, and Dynamite. Omega will be defending the International Championship for only the 2nd time at the upcoming television special, ever since winning it at the Revolution pay-per-view in March. His only previous defense came at the Dynasty pay-per-view in April, where he retained his title in a triple threat match against Ricochet and Speedball Mike Bailey. But there you go, guys. This latest pro wrestling news for you. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. As you can see right there, we're currently at 21,987 subscribers. That's only 13 away from 22,000. So if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe. Click that like button, and I'll speak for you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.